guys, thank you so much for all the love and thoughtful comments that were in my last video about the TikTok algorithm. I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it. It made my day reading all these comments. They were so sweet. Now, before we get into it, welcome back to the channel. These videos take a long time to make, especially this one. I actually recorded this already, but my microphone wasn't connected. Beginner mistake, honestly. I will try my best to earn your subscription by the end of the video. Now, quick update on my It Ends With Us video. I'm roughly a third of the way through the book. Here's a little, here's a little sneak peek at how I annotate. You know, I have, just writing, and then I highlight, and there's also, note tabs. So far, it's definitely a struggle. There are some cute moments in between the two characters, but there's a lot of red flags. But, on to today's topic. Last video, I mentioned the magic and controversy over the TikTok algorithm. But what about other algorithms? They have their own magic too. And today, I'll be looking into the 8 primary graphs that help understand and give insight into how these different platforms prioritize content and what they care about most. This video will not necessarily be in parts, but rather separated based on graph type, and in cases looking at terms at what social networking analysis is, what nodes, edges, and weights are, and how they all affect the graph and play roles into it. Now, the 8 graphs briefed on today are social, interest, content, engagement, topic/hashtag, location, influence, and affinity. Before we start, let's understand the broad umbrella covering all terms. Social networking analysis, or SNA, is the process of investigating social structures through the use of network and graph theory. It categorizes networks structured in terms of nodes, individual actors, people or things within the network, and ties, edges or links, relationships or interactions that connect them. These help us visualize social media networks and are viewed in sociograms. A sociogram is a graphic representation of social links that a person has. It's a graph drawing that plots the structure of interpersonal relations in a group situation. Sociographs were created to diagram the structure and platforms of group interactions. They can be drawn with multiple criteria: social relations, channels of influence, lines of communication, etc. Now, for the other graph besides the 2 primary graphs, social and interest, there are some other key terms that play into it that add spice and flavor. These help create the user experience more uniquely. Some important seasonings are these 3 key terms: nodes, edges, and weights. Nodes are representing factors in the real-world social network. Point-line diagrams, like the one on screen, are used to represent graphs and represent real-world networks. Edges are the connection or social tie between 2 nodes. This just looks at connections and relationships. Weights are going to be brought in later, but are commonly used in SNNs, and help measure strength, importance, or frequency between the relationship and node. The importance for this is content ranking, better navigation, and social media analysis. Most social media platforms rely on 2 foundational graphs, a social and an interest graph. These serve as the base, and then other graphs blend in to create uniqueness for the app or platform. The reason they dominate is because the interest graph allows for engagement with users without having to have a large social network, and social graphs help with user connection and just having a friend base, basically. A social graph, defined by Wikipedia, is a social graph is a graph that represents social relationship between identities. In short, it is a model or representation of a social network, where the word graph has been taken from graph theory. The social graph has been referred to as the global mapping of everybody and how they are related. It's all about relationships. It connects you to the people you know, like friends and family. But platforms like Instagram and Facebook heavily rely on social graphs to replicate real-world friendships and connections online. The more connections the consumer, you, has, the more engaging your content becomes. So it takes a little work. The apps prioritize posts from people that the user interacts with most, which improves your engagement. However, there are several issues regarding social graphs. Social networking is unaware of relationships forged between individuals on different services. This creates an online experience that is not seamless and provides a fragmented experience due to a lack of an openly available graph between services. In addition, existing services define relationships differently. Social networking sites, or SNNS, like MySpace, Facebook, and Cyworld, which is the Korean equivalent of MySpace, help users identify in the system whom they have a relationship with. There's tags and labels for these relationships depending on the site, like friends, contacts, or followers. The public display is crucial for SNNs. The friends contact lists links to each individual's profile, letting users roam the network graph by clicking on the friend list. It's defined like this because social networking sites as web-based services that allow individuals to 1. Construct a public or semi-public profile within a bounded system, 2. Articulate a list of other users for whom they share connection with, and 3. View and traverse their list of connections and those made by others within the system. Overall, the social graph is one of the primary foundations of online SNNs, helping shape how users interact with others. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Cyworld have successfully leveraged SNNs to create a community on their online spaces for their users. At its core, the social graph remains crucial to being relied on by multiple apps and programs for mapping human connection in the new digital age. An interest graph, defined by Wikipedia, is a digital portrayal of an individual's specific interests. Its perceived utility and value stem from premise that a person's interests form a significant component of their personal identity. Unlike the social graph, the interest graph connects users to content and community based on their preferences and interests, not just who they know. This makes for a better recommendation system used by TikTok, Pinterest, and Reddit. This lets users connect with like-minded people across the world, compared to being limited by personal networks. Now, this new and favorable method of content that matches your interest and activates more than just your social connections is a change that is aimed to make content more engaging for you and your varied interest, showing the caring for individuality. Now, the interest graph transformed how social networks look at and engage users by prioritizing this personal content based on individual interests rather than a social connection. Now, by doing this, the interest graph fosters more of a dynamic and engaging user experience, reinforcing that digital spaces should care for individuality rather than social circles. A content graph, according to RWS, is a content graph organizes digital content like articles, images, and videos into a network of connected nodes and links. This network helps understand how different pieces of content relate to each other. Basically, it's just a framework that maps relationships between pieces of content based on certain user factors like user engagement, metadata, and contextual similarities. This lets the platform curate a feed for that user that closely aligns with that user's interests, which enhances their personalization and engagement. Some of the key benefits of using a content graph is how it makes it easier for users to find relevant and relative content, delivering a more personalized content for a user experience, facilitates organization, categorization, tagging of content, and improves efficiency. And it offers a new view of content relationships and user interaction. The content graph connects to another graph. Crazy, right? This is a knowledge graph, which is just fancy wording for a network of entities, like objects, events, or concepts of their relationship to one another. Examples of this is how ChatGPT or DeepSeek can provide answers without human intervention. It's learning and natural language processing. Anyways, it's these two graphs that are basically one, and they focus on how content is related to one another based on your engagement and your metadata. Some really famous examples of this are YouTube's recommendation system and TikTok's For You page. The structure with this is nodes, which are content specific, that are connected by edges, which are based on tags, descriptions, engagement, and AI analysis. The engagement graph focuses on user interactions. Likes, comments, shares, follows, and subscribers. That sounds like a call out. I think you should do all 5. There are many papers that look into this, and they're all linked down in the description if you want to read about them. Now, for instance, I'll show you some of my graphs, And these are statistics from my video that YouTube gave me, or for instance, the creator, app, or CEO gets on their statistics about their performance. And these graphs use nodes, which in this case are users and content, and they're all connected by edges, which are engagement strength. You can measure this with surveys or time spent on content. In my case, that's hours watched. Now, here are some of the graphs based on my Book Talk and TikTok algorithm video. Hey guys, it's editing Sammy here. I just wanted to show you some of my statistics. This is on my Book Talk video. I don't have enough viewers and stuff to see what my real demographics are, but looking at the impressions, 10K and this, it's kind of sloping right here. It's peaking. And these are the views. As you can see, it's peaked. Yeah, and just unique viewers, and it slowly goes slowly goes down. But this is what YouTube gives creators. So I get a lot of my data and information from this. Yeah, here are some of my other videos, as you can see. So let's go to my TikTok algorithm one. Let's just look at some of these analytics. So yeah, as you can see, this crazy peak. It's so interesting, these analytics, because the engagement graph just gives you all of this. I tell you the subscribers, how it went up, and then you can see when attention spans start to decrease, so how do you keep it more entertaining. I haven't really fully looked through these. I looked through this a bit, but audience, this is really interesting. Again, mobile phone, TV, that's so interesting. And this is crazy. I don't know, guys. Not subscribed. That's a pretty big number. I think you guys should subscribe. Oh my gosh. Look at our demographics. Hello. Okay, US coming in strong, and we got Australia and UK and Canada. That's pretty lit, bro. But yeah, these are some analytics I just wanted to show you guys, walk you through a little bit. But yeah, editing Sammy out. When hearing about engagement graphs, you will commonly hear about employee engagement, which highlights the relationship between organization and its employees. This sees who is fully absorbed into their work and who cares about the interests and who doesn't. Now, overall, engagement graphs highlight the relationship between performance and engagement, letting the creators, owners, or anyone really, know what to keep or change about their own content. The topic/hashtag graph, simplified, is the idea that content is linked by common things, or in social media terms, hashtags. For instance, if you check the description for any of my videos, you'll see hashtags. And this uses relevant and popular hashtags to create and increase the visibility of your content and demographics. And these are a game changer for brands and creators to strategically maximize engagement and visibility. Wikipedia defines hashtags in general as, on social media, hashtags are used on microblogging and photo sharing services, especially Twitter and Tumblr, as a force of user-generated tagging that enables cross-referencing of content by topic or theme. It's a way to map and analyze how hashtags, keywords, or topics are interconnected across social media. This helps understand trends, viral content, and analyze how to promote your video more. This works with nodes, which are individual hashtags, keywords, or topics, and edges, which are formed when two hashtags frequently go together. An example of this is looking at my book talk video with hashtag It Ends With Us and hashtag Colleen Hoover, having the author and the book together. And these are used in almost every single platform, and when used right, can reach a bigger audience. Location graphs are data structures that are expressed with a relationship between locations. This one has its own fancy name. LBSNS, or Location-Based Social Networks and Graph Theory, connects location based on user interaction, movements, or spatial relationships. Graph theory is its own complex structure and is the study of graphs, a topic that won't be briefed on today. A paper called Fast Locally Sensitive Hashing by Ravi Kumar describes it as locally sensitive hashing, as LSH, is a basic primitive in several large-scale data processing applications, including nearest neighbor search, deduplication, clustering, etc. The nodes in this case represent places like restaurants, landmarks, or user location. The links or edges are the relationship between these locations. which could be user check-in, travel routes, or visitor similarity. Now, this is where weights pop in. They represent the strength and significance between edge or between two locations or nodes. They show additional information about these relationships between users and places that help improve analysis, recommendation, and predictions in the LBSNS. And how this works is each weight can represent different factors like frequency of visits, distance, moving location, and etc. It just shows where you go and where you're likely to go next. An influence graph, according to Science Direct, is an influence diagram is a graphical representation that shows the relationship between variables in a model using arrows to indicate the direction of influence. It uses different shapes, such as rectangles, circles, and ovals, to represent different types of variables. Influence graphs identify influential users and how information spreads. It captures how one variable influences another, directly or indirectly. This can be through interactions, behaviors, or actions. Nodes in this case are individuals, organizations, or entities, and the edges are the relationships or influences between two nodes, showing how the connection can have weights and indicate its strength of that influence. This enters another term, directionality, which shows where the influence goes. An example of this, and I'm throwing random names, is how Justin Bieber influences Ash Trevino and how they both influence each other. That's not true, that's just an example. I doubt Justin Bieber even knows who Ash Trevino is, but I digress. The weights here are how strong this influence is, based on the frequency, content shared, interactions, and other factors. These graphs are primarily used in social media to identify key influences, like celebrities. This is how some people get verified on platforms. Marketing is also in the influence graph, understanding who you want to do ads for in order to get a bigger pull audience. Bing does this a lot. Now, political influence also steps in. If a famous person, let's say Taylor Swift, speaks out about their political belief, there could be a shift in voting for that political figure, or something like that. There's also copycats, and an example of this is Ariana Grande's TikTok copycat, and you've seen that, or behavioral influence. And this is just where, it seeps into that person, you're trying to be like them, act like them. Yeah, overall, it's the influence a creator has on you and what you think of them. An affinity graph, according to Wikipedia, is a business tool used to organize ideas and data. It is one of the 7 management and planning tools. The tool is commonly used within project management and allows large numbers of ideas stemming from brainstorming to be sorted into groups based on their natural relationships for review and analysis. Primary focus of the affinity graph is communities and brand loyalty. This is looking at user affinity and grouping towards brands, creators, and other niche communities. Example of this could be my YouTube community, it could be Reddit subreddit engagement, Discord servers, or Twitch stream communities, which you should follow my Twitch at little_risey_ and subscribe to the channel. The nodes in this case are users and brands / communities, and they are connected by loyalty and repeated interactions. These connections are based on the idea of the affinity diagram, and the graph shows how natural relationships, patterns, and clusters within the social media space, often from data analysis, user interaction, or engagement, part of the bigger picture, or the 7 management and planning tools, which include affinity diagram, interrelationship diagram, tree diagram, prioritization matrix, matrix diagram or quality table, process decision, programming chart, and activity network diagram. They help with planning and management with roots in operation research. But back to the affinity graph. Its diagram organizes ideas with the following steps. 1. Record each idea on cards or notes. 2. Look for the ideas that seem to be related. 3. Sort cards into groups until all cards have been used. It's the categorization of users. They put people, like you, into subgroups to make it easier to analyze and manage you and your data, and once this is complete, they use it for a cause and effect diagram. Sorry for the butchering on this one, but Ishikawa diagrams, also called fishbone diagrams, herringbone diagrams, cause and effect diagrams, are casual diagrams created by Kaoru Ishikawa that show the potential causes of a specific event. The problem is solved on the head. and then the causes start branching out, and this lets you see everything in a bigger picture, like a mind map. The affinity diagram is a tool to help organize and categorize ideas through brainstorming, and this is where related ideas are put into clusters, enabling a better understanding for complex information. In the social media setting, it's how users, content, and topics are all interconnected. This can be with various factors like interest, engagement, hashtags, or communities. The graph displays these with nodes being users and topics, and edges being the nature of the relationship, showing how interactions and content are interrelated and connected on the platform, helping to identify influential users, trends, and clusters. And this is beneficial to marketers, analysis, or platform developers in order to better understand the behavior, content popularity, and community building. It's a fancy way of companies and marketing strategies to analyze your behavior and curate content just for you. Oh, you're so special. But all graphs have their own way of influencing the algorithm that they're used in uniquely, and this video just highlighted those patterns. So next time you're scrolling on your favorite social media program, think about how it's so addictive and what graphs play into that. Now, below are all the resources I used in a Google document, so if you want to check that out and fact check me, go for it. Now, what's still in the works? I have a crafting video that I made because my girlfriend's birthday was like a couple days ago, so I was in there and I made a Spider-Man Kiss sweatshirt, which personally I ate on. And there's some other possible videos, like I'm still thinking about doing the mental health video. I'm kind of iffy on that one. But also, if you guys want a behind the scenes, like how I do all this, like research, scripts, like video recording, how I edit, I would be happy to do that. And I have 3 book videos. I have The Handmaid's Tale, It Ends With Us, which you guys saw earlier, and Haunting Adeline. On that note, I also have a Goodreads account, so go check that out. Or don't. That's actually kind of scary. Whatever, I don't really care. If you have any video recommendations, toss them in the comments or email my YouTube channel, LILRAZZYY@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to do any videos about any topics you want. That's all I have for today, guys. I know, sad, right? I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, and I'm out.